Good morning, and today's going to be 8-10 at Diamonds. We are in the hijack in a 25 NL game. Folds to us, we raise first in, button calls, big blind calls. Our raise first in stat looks something like this. Hijack should be playing about 25-26%. Ace 10's well in our range. So let's go to the next guy. He's playing 15-10. Looks to be somewhat tight aggressive. He's in position, plays about 23% of hands from the button. Pre-flop raise is 17%. 3-bet stat is 6% overall. So I think his 3-bet's probably going to be fairly strong with more hands in what's typical. This guy's not playing, isn't 3-betting just like queens plus ace king. He's probably going including jacks or tens, probably including the ace queens, suited offsuits, probably like suited ace jack, maybe ace 10, king queen suited, queen jack suited, things like those to get up to 6%. So I put together a range like this. I assumed there 10s plus, ace queen plus, ace jack suited, king queen suited. I think those are going to probably be 3-bet range in position. That leaves these other hands that he's calling with. It's 14%, probably decent range. We've got 900 hands on him. We do have a 3-bet range of king queen suited, ace queen off, so that's why I feel comfortable including the queen jack. Just a question of, is he going to include queen jack and jack 10 or not? I'm going to leave him in here. All right, next guy is the button, who looks tight, over 80 hands, so 10% VPIP. 13% overall in the big blind, but that's 1 out of 8. 3-bet stat, 2 out of 32, coming from the small blind. His range I put like this, and that seems strange for the numbers. I would have picked up maybe like pocket pairs, suited aces, maybe suited connectors. That's about it. I would have kept it small, but I've got a note on him. It says cold 2-bet from the blinds with 10-8. So I'm kind of thinking maybe since there's a raise first in and then a call, it's 2 for him to call. Go back. He needs 21%. It's possible that he's using this as a just calling with speculative hands, and if he plays a 10-8 clubs, then he's playing the suited versions as well, and probably the rest of these. So that's kind of how I put together this bigger range. I still kept 3-bet range at like queens plus ace king, but I have a much larger range here for him. All right, so 3 of us take the flop of 8-6-3. 3-way. Just right off the bat, you could see this guy's going to be connecting a bit since he has his suited connector, suited one gappers. Check. I chose to check, and in terms of the draws and 3-way, we're playing straight. More straightforward. Definitely. So this isn't necessarily going to be a board that I'm going to hit a whole lot. And when we think about what kind of draws we have out there, we don't really have flush draws. We've got maybe some straight draws, some gut shot draws that we could connect. So you could see just in terms of those, we're at 5%. And that kind of makes me think that we're probably not going to be c-betting a whole lot. I think maybe our sets are going to be betting. Maybe we withhold, maybe like one of these sets, hold in our checking range. I think 2 pair. I mean, right here we're at 3% and 5%. overpair, probably betting those. Top pair hands, likewise, we're probably betting some of these that have some potential for some backdoor stuff. And that gets us to 14, and that means we're going to need like a C. We're going to have to try to find some draw hands. So I kind of think some of these bottom pairs, right, weak pairs are probably going to be used. Maybe these middle pairs that also have, some sort of backdoor straight potential. Definitely 2-card backdoor straight draws. We want those. We want the 8s. Probably get those out. Maybe like the big aces. I guess those 8s were always already being used. Gut shots. 9, 10, Jack 9. I think we already have these straight draws. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, maybe just like that. Possibly. So since I didn't, I think we're looking at I mean, we are going to have some draws in our hand. Turn those out. Okay. So I did have ace 10. Kind of as a betting range. Where are we? There we go. But overall, we don't have a whole lot of value because we're not going to be betting a whole lot of value because we don't have a whole lot to balance it with. So, kind of with some of our hands, we're going to use some hands as kind of a check call, kind of protect against the bluffs. If he bets and he calls, we can kind of reevaluate and say, should we really continue to call or not? Here we've got a backdoor diamond draw. We've got a backdoor straight draw. So this guy bets. In terms of aggression, yeah, maybe he could bet here. Of his float stats, let's see here, 57% tends to bet when it's checked too. That could be any sort of pair here. So top pair plus, probably could include a gut shot. Maybe include some of these middle pairs and the bottom and like 4-5, because that's also gut shot range. Maybe the bottom pair with like ace 3 2s. I'm not so sure about. So if we do those, just that, he's looking pretty good. This other guy folds, and then it's on us, and definitely not going to be folding everything. So I think we've got probably these. I think ace 2 gets called as well. I think we're calling those. Probably not going to be calling a whole lot of overcards. I mean, they have to have backdoor potential, and we've got some already. So I do think we're going to be calling those sevens, all of these that we check called. Probably not even check raising. So we've got maybe 18%. So we did 54%, and then we did 18%. Just kind of a check call. Maybe that's going to be a little bit too much. And anyways, we called here. Jack of spades comes out. That doesn't really help us. I think it's just going to be a check fold at this point. So we check basically 100% of our range here. Once we checked before, we're basically always going to check. With that jack comes, I think a set's going to probably still bet. Nines are probably going to be checking here, the weaker pairs. Flush draw probably bets. And we could scale it and say 50%. He would have bet that flush draw. Same thing with the open ender. Some people would just check behind and take the free card. Jack could improve his range a bit, but I think where he's going to slow it down quite a bit. And then three of spades comes out. We're just going to check. I know it looks like we should be betting, but I kind of feel like we should, once we go check on the flop, we check the turn, we check again on the river. Possibly we go for a check raise. So I think we check 100% of our range again. And then he checks behind. And I don't think he's checking a flush. I don't think I kind of think he's going to be betting those hands. So I guess it's probably better. It's probably betting those hands. And maybe the nines. Maybe the nines. These middle pairs, though, probably just call. So we should probably just change colors. All right, so showdown, I don't expect to win. He shows pocket tens. I had tens in his 3-bet range. Obviously, they're kind of fall in. Same thing with the nines. So lost the hand. It is what it is. I am just a bit curious about the c-bet range. Was I building that range correctly? So let's go ahead and check that. All right, so I got my ranges in here. Let's go ahead and build the pot. So we got 9.4. Effective stack sizes are 93, we'll say. All right, we're gonna go advanced. It's set up at 50%. This is probably a 50% plus c-bet here. 33%, 50%. I guess I could go larger, but I don't think that's gonna help. It's much bigger. It's gonna take longer to run. So we'll run it and then we'll be back. All right. Definitely ran a little bit longer. So let's check out our decisions. So it looks like we are betting maybe about 40% of the time total. Looks like we're favoring slightly larger size, kind of what I expected. Sometimes we can go for the smaller size here. Definitely the larger size that seems to be favored. Looks like our sets, sometimes we're betting, sometimes we're checking. We kind of thought that. I kind of thought maybe we were going to pick just a one one of those and not raise, but it looks like it's going to be mixed here. Sometimes we bet, sometimes we check. Same thing with a two pair. Our bets seem to be favored for the lower pocket pairs. Check with like aces, some of our kings. Same thing. Our top pair was a little bit reversed. I was going to have checks more at like the ace 8, king 8, but it looks like those are going to be the hands that we would bet and then we would check. Kind of had inverted with our eights. What kind of draws are we doing? Not really the weak pairs, so I kind of had some of these weak pairs and middle pairs as balancing. Not so much. Looks like our open enders are sometimes betting, our gut shots are sometimes betting, our overcards. I think this is the interesting part. These are the backdoor flush draws. Looks like we're favoring those, and it looks like we're favoring those pretty heavily. And not just like ace king, ace queen. Those seem to be checks, and I bet those are check calls as well. Like ace 10 is checks, but we are doing like the middle hands. King 10, king 9, probably because they have some hands that could also pick up some straights. So again, general idea was right. I kind of had my hands wrong, inverted as to what I should be checking versus what I should be betting here. So I did check, and then he bets. And then when we look at the call, we do have some check raises. So we're keeping some of the check from some of the trips and two pairs check raises. Looks like we're keeping like jacks and queens as a check raise too. That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that. The hands those weak. Yeah, some of our open enders are check raises. Some of our gut shots are check raises. Okay, so we're keeping some check raises. Keep honest. Better than just having a check calling range here, I guess. We are calling about 50% of hands. Ace 10's definitely in there. So far it looks like our check call was fine. Just got to remember that this is a three-way pot, so that's going to have an effect on our bets. But once he folds, it's kind of falls back to heads up. So we checked, so it's going to be 100% check, and then villain should be betting. He had pocket tens, and he should be betting that. He chose not to. I guess there are some checks there, but you know, it's just kind of typical when you bet and then a card comes that beats your pair. I just think it's typical for players to freeze up here. And then the board pairs with that 3 spades. And now we've got some bets here. I would have thought like once we go check, we check again, but since villain didn't bet, I think it opens us up to bet again. So flush, we're going to have most of our bets. We are going to have some probably check calls and some check raises here. I bet. Over pairs. Okay, so GTO still has us betting a little bit. Ace 10's a check. Yeah, check raise with like with these premium hands. Check calls are going to be with the weaker hands. So we are betting some of those, but you know we're also check raising some. So I think overall, I didn't play too badly. Kind of had some setup, some interpretation on what I was going to do here throughout the hand, just a little backwards. Just got to remember those. So I guess kind of bet top pair, top kicker, but then like check with the top pair, weaker kicker. Go for a bit more of the weaker or weaker backdoor flush draws, not necessarily like the ace king, ace queen. But overall, I think it was okay. It just lost a hand. He had tens. And I don't think there's any way I could have picked up this hand. All right. So hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another.